Okay, so for chapter 3, I put on some classics. I threw on some Tom Petty. Yeah, it's hype. Yeah, your boy knows it, right? But if you were here for Tom Petty, you'd be on Tom Petty Radio, or you'd be listening to Tom Petty anywhere. I don't know. They got a ton of services. Anyway, let me get to the point before I start naming like YouTube and Spotify. All right. So, point is, you're here for Josh the Boss 49, and he's goated to write this story. I mean, he's the GOAT, bro. I mean, that's what you're here for. Chapter 3, Welcome to My World. I opened my eyes to find myself standing in the middle of a deserted street, the fog swirling around me. I turned to look for Ellie, but she was nowhere to be seen. A wave of panic washed over me, but I forced myself to remain calm. I knew she would follow, and she did. A moment later, Ellie appeared beside me, her face a mask of terror and confusion. "Josh," she whispered, her voice trembling. "What's happening?" Her voice burned as she was in hell, burning for all eternity. "Welcome to my world, Silent Hill," I said, my voice barely audible. Let's face our fears together. The oppressive atmosphere of Silent Hill pressed down on us, a tangible weight that made every breath a conscious effort. The familiar fog clung to everything, blurring the edges of dilapidated buildings and obscuring the already desolate streets. Ellie, beside our initial fear, stood tall beside me, her eyes darting around, taking in the grim reality of this nightmarish town. "We need to find a map," I said, my voice tight with a mixture of apprehension and determination. "There has to be some kind of information center, a tourist kiosk or something." We navigated the deserted streets, the silence broken only by the crunch of gravel beneath our feet and the distant, mournful wail of a siren. The emptiness was unsettling, a stark contrast to the teeming hordes of gluttonous creatures I had encountered on my previous visit. After what it felt like an eternity, we stumbled upon a crumbling newsstand, its shelves littered with decaying newspaper and faded magazines. Amidst the debris, I found a tattered map of Silent Hill, its edges frayed and yellowed with age. As I unfolded it, a strange sensation washed over me. The map seemed to pulse with an airy energy, its lines and symbols shifting and rearranging before my eyes. "What is it?" Ellie asked, her voice laced with concern. "The map," I said, pointing to a specific location circled in bulk red ink. "It's showing us where to go." The circled location was labeled Rosewater Park, a name that sent a shiver down my spine. I remember Rosewater Park from my previous visit, a place of twisted beauty and hidden horrors. "We need to be careful," I said, handing Ellie a sturdy wooden plank I'd find leaning against the newsstand. "I don't know what we'll find here, but I have a feeling it won't be pleasant." As we made our way towards Rosewater Park, I kept my eyes peeled for any signs of danger. The silence was unnerving. The emptiness, a constant reminder that there were intruders in this twisted realm. I found a discarded hearing gun in a broken display case, its metal cold and reassuring in my grip. The record shop appeared out of the fog like a mirage, its neon sign flicking erratically in the gloom. A sense of foreboding washed over me as we approached. This place felt different, charged with a strange energy that set my teeth on edge. We cautiously pushed open the door, a bell tinkling ominously in the silence. The interior was dimly lit, the shelves stacked with dusty vinyl records and forgotten cassette tapes, and they were blind. Behind the counter stood Heather. Her dark gray hair was now longer, cascading down her shoulders like a winter waterfall. Her eyes, once filmed and filled with warmth and laughter, were now hollow and distant, haunted by the shadows of Silent Hill. "Heather," I said, my voice catching in my throat. "You're here." She looked up, a flicker of recognition in her eyes. "Josh," she whispered, her voice a mere echo of its formal privacy. "You came." The air crackled with tension, the silence heavy with unspoken words and unresolved emotions. We stood there, frozen in time, three souls caught in the web of Silent Hill's twisted reality. Heather stared at me, a flicker of surprise and confusion crossing her face. But then her gaze shifted to Ellie, and a slow understanding smile spared across her lips. "So this is Ellie," she murmured, her voice barely a whisper. Ellie returned the smile, her eyes filled with a warmth that belied the darkness of the place. "It's nice to meet you, Heather," she said, her voice steady. Heather nodded, her gaze lingering on Ellie for a moment longer. "Hey, it's nice to meet you too." The silence that followed was heavy, charged with unspoken emotions. Heather seemed to be grappling with a complex mix of feelings, regret, longings, and a strange sense of acceptance. "I'm glad you're here," she said, breaking the silence. "You and Ellie, you'll need each other." She turned her attention to the map, marking 4 locations with a red marker: Woodside Apartments, Brookhaven Hospital, Silent Hill Historical Society, and Lakeview Hotel. "There are other places you'll need to visit," she explained. "Each one is a nexus of darkness, a breeding ground for the creatures that plague this town." As she spoke, she handed us a bag filled with supplies. "Health potions, munitions, and a variety of weapons. Y'all need these," she said, her voice strange, even barely a whisper. Heather paused, her eyes locking on mine. She reached out and pulled me into a tight embrace, holding me for a moment longer than necessary, bringing her voice back. "Be careful, Josh," she whispered. "Both of you." Her lips kissing my neck, a part of me she could not let go. As she released me, I couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness. Heather, beside her flaws, had always been a part of my life, a constant in the chaos of Silent Hill. Now she stood before me, a shadow of her former self. I couldn't help but feel a sense of compassion and understanding. With a final nod, Heather turned. She disappeared into the fog, leaving us alone in the eerie silence of the record store. Ellie and I exchanged a look, the gravity of the task ahead weighing heavy on our minds. "Well," I said, breaking the silence, "let's get started." We picked up the supplies and headed out into the fog, first, ready to face whatever horrors awaited us. The Woodside Apartments loomed before us, a decaying monolith against the oppressive gray sky. Boarded up windows and peeling paint spoke of forgotten lives and lingering despair. The front door was chained shut, but a broken window on the side offered a tempting entry point. "Boost me up," Ellie said, her voice surprisingly steady. "I'll unlock the door from the inside." I nodded, hosting her up to the window. She slipped through with surprisingly agitatively. The sound of shattering glass echoing in the eerie silence. A moment later, the door creaked open and we stepped into the dimly lit hallway.